What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy Podcast. My name is Tyler Anderson. I'm your host. This is episode 32. I'm recording this on Friday night, January 10th, 2025. And in this episode, we're going to be making a couple NFL playoff brackets for the 2025 playoffs here. We're going to try to predict who is going to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm in a bit of a bracket challenge that I run. You get to make up to 2 brackets. So I'm just going to make both of them with you guys here in this episode. One of them is going to be a little bit biased as a Minnesota fan. We'll do that one last. But the first one, I'm going to be more realistic. And I call this the Minnesota Vikings pain and sorrow hedge. So, you know, if I make a bracket with the Vikings doing well and winning the Super Bowl, there's a good chance that it doesn't hit, just because, you know, I think we'll win it eventually, and we very well could this year. But if we don't win the Super Bowl and my bracket loses, then I'm going to be extra sad. So I got to have another bracket without a Vikings champion, even though there's like a 100% chance we'll win it this year, right? Right, guys? You see that Lions game? Anyways, okay, moving on. We're going to start with our first bracket. So Bills versus Broncos. Look, I love what the Broncos are doing. Bo Nix looks great as a rookie. He single-handedly brought me, well, I had like a really good team that I didn't draft a quarterback with, like high with. I picked up Bo Nix and he led me to like a really good record. I had like 2 losses, made the championship, got second place, unfortunately. But Bo Nix is looking great and that defense is phenomenal. But the Bills at home, I'm going to take them, I think, in both brackets. If I'm really confident in a pick, I'll probably take them in both brackets we make here. Ravens and Steelers. This is another one where Ravens at home, I do think they get the win. The Steelers, they've had their moments this year, but I just don't see it working on the road in Baltimore. And I think, you know, Lamar has been to the playoffs enough where hopefully he can, you know, string together at least a wild card win. But I think the Ravens could make noise in the playoffs. So, next up, we got the Houston Texans at home versus the LA Chargers. And this is another one where in both brackets, I think I'm going to go with the Chargers. The Texans just haven't really looked great lately. They haven't impressed me. And even though the Chargers are the lower seed and on the road, I think they are the better team. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. And then this is where the Chargers playoff run ends. Okay, so I think what Harbaugh's doing in LA with the Chargers is good. I could see that being a good team down the road. But right now, I think they just don't quite have the firepower to make a Super Bowl run and to take down the Kansas City Chiefs, who would be their divisional round matchup. The Chiefs coming off of a bye at home. I know it hasn't been the best, most impressive season for the Chiefs, despite their really good record. There were a couple games where they, quote unquote, should have lost, but I still think the Chiefs get it done here. And then we got the Bills and the Ravens. This is a tough one. This game would be in Buffalo with Buffalo as the 2 seed. I am going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I think they're a better team. And what Josh Allen is doing is incredible. Granted, what Lamar Jackson is doing is arguably just as impressive. A big factor here is Zay Flowers. We don't know what his health is. He's going to be out against the Steelers in the wild card round. I don't know if he's going to be back. His knee injury did not look good when he suffered that. I believe it was a knee injury. So I am going to go with the Buffalo Bills here. And then in this particular bracket, and I might vary this later, I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm not going to say the Chiefs are underrated, but I think a lot of people are doubting the Chiefs for good reason. They don't look as good as they have in years past. They're kind of just squeaking out wins, not a huge point differential. But, I mean, they're the Chiefs. You know, they're one of those teams where I'd feel stupid, just like last year. You know, I didn't really think they'd do anything. And you just don't want to doubt a team like this, especially with 2 brackets. I'm going to at least pick one Kansas City Chiefs to the Super Bowl bracket. All right. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at home versus the Packers. Christian Watson is out for the Packers. That's big. Jalen Hurts, is he going to play? He cleared concussion protocol. Okay. I mean, this is Eagles all day at home. I think the Packers are a solid team, but I just think the Eagles are they're better. Buccaneers, Commanders. Now, this is one where I've been pretty definitive on my picks so far for the most part. This is one where I might pick the Bucs in one bracket and pick the Commanders in the other, just because, I really think this could go either way. The Commanders have a rookie quarterback, but they have looked really good at times. Jaden Daniels, he's had a phenomenal rookie season, but the playoffs are a whole different beast. And the Bucs at home, like, they are a team that could make a run, in my opinion, but you just never know what team is going to show up. Even in that really crucial win and get in game against the Saints, without their starting quarterback, starting running back, top two receivers, they had to come back and win that game. But still, I do think the Bucs, I think they pull this off at home. Or do I? I'll put the Bucs for this bracket. I might pick the Commanders for the next one. Rams and Vikings. So this is in LA. Even though the Vikings have the better record, they are the lower seed just because of that. The Lions winning the division, and having the bye week would have been great if we won that game, guys. Come on. I would not be surprised if the Rams win this. They're a good team. They're finding ways to win games. I just think the Vikings, at the very least, they get out of the wild card round. Sam Darnold and that team, they didn't quite show up, in prime time under the lights against the Lions. A lot of red zone inefficiencies. Darnold did not look great at all, but I think the Vikings kind of figure things out, and they can at least beat the Rams. Okay. So I'm going to go with the Vikings taking down the Rams. And then, again, I'm going to do two brackets. This is the one where I'm going to say my Minnesota Vikings don't win at all. Okay. So we're going to go with the Detroit Lions at home in the division round, taking down the Minnesota Vikings. 3-0 against the Vikes on the season. Honestly, to 3-0, a team as good as the Vikings is tough to do. So even in my quote unquote biased bracket that I'm going to do next, with the Vikings doing really well, it would not shock me if the Vikings beat the Lions. They are a much better team than what they showed in their last game. And their first matchup came down to a field goal, but I'm going to go with the Lions to beat the Vikings there. Eagles and Bucks. Look, I love the Bucks. I love Baker. I love Mike Evans. It's a fun team to watch. Their run defense has been playing a lot better lately, but the Eagles just seem like, they were able to rest their starters week 18. Jalen Hurts and Saquon. I mean, this offense is really good. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I just think they're the better team. And then I think the Lions take down the Eagles at home. So that leads us to a Kansas City Chiefs, Detroit Lions Super Bowl. Both number one seeds, both the two favorites to make the Super Bowl. The Lions are the favorites to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the second favorites, so they're the top in their conferences. I'm looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook here, but I think those are the two favorites in most sportsbooks you'll find. For what it's worth, it's then the Ravens, then the Bills, then the Eagles, then my Vikings. So according to the DK book. So it's really hard to argue with what the Chiefs have done in the Super Bowl, in the just playoff Super Bowl, just dominating lately, and they're looking for that three-peat. It's tough to doubt them, but I think that between them and the Lions, that is very tough. I think it's the Lions' year. It seems like it's their year. So if they make it to the Super Bowl, I think they win. And here's my final bracket, bracket number one, I should say. We have the Lions winning the Super Bowl over the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat the Minnesota Vikings and Philadelphia Eagles to get there. And I did make this bracket on myplayoffpicks.com. Not a sponsor. I don't make any money from anything I do on this channel. It's just me yapping. But it is a nice free bracket where it just show, if you're not on the YouTube where you can see the video, it literally shows you the matchup, like one team on one side of the screen, one team on the other. You pick which one you think is going to win, and then it just does matchup by matchup. It does the reseeding for you, and then you get this nice little bracket at the end. So if you're doing like a playoff bracket and you don't want to pay for a service, and you want a nice, clean, automated bracket, this is a good place. Myplayoffpicks.com and they and you get this nice clean bracket, and then you can just have everyone send in their brackets with their Super Bowl tiebreaker, which is what we do for that, and then you have a nice little bracket thing. So we're gonna do one more bracket here. So I'm gonna download this because I'm literally gonna submit this for my actual bracket challenge, and then we're gonna do one more here while I am typing in the websites here to make a new one. Make sure to drop a like or subscribe or follow wherever you're enjoying the podcast. If you can do all those things on YouTube, you can do all those. You can subscribe and like. If you're on Spotify, make sure to subscribe. Is that what they call it there? Follow, subscribe, whatever. Stay tuned for more fantasy football goodness so you too can become a fantasy football prodigy. All right. And here we go. This is bracket number 2. Okay, so we're going to change a little things up, a few things here. I don't want to have a completely new bracket because the picks that I'm really confident in, I want to nail those in both brackets to maximize my odds of hitting a good bracket. But in those matchups where I'm not sure, I might kind of hedge a little bit and go a different direction. So I'm going to go with the Bills over the Broncos again. We already talked about that. Ravens over the Steelers at home again. Chargers over the Texans again. I'm pretty confident in that in the wild card for the AFC, which starts tomorrow, by the way, as of this recording. I'm recording this on Friday the 10th. Playoffs start Saturday the 11th. So if you're listening to this and it's already happened, hopefully I was right. And there's still more games to come, so hopefully you can still enjoy. Getting a phone call, my bad. And then I'm going to go with the Chiefs over the Chargers again. I am going to go with the Bills over the Ravens. This is one where I would not be shocked if I'm wrong. But this game would be epic. I just think the Bills. Man, that really is a tough. I'm gonna go with the Bills, but I feel like the Ravens. I don't know. I think they're pretty good, but that's a tough one. And then Chiefs versus Bills in Kansas City in the AFC Championship. In this one, I'm gonna go with the Bills instead of the Chiefs this time. The Chiefs have kind of, been the better team, I would say, over the last few years, but I think this might be the time when we see Josh Allen kind of level up and take over that AFC crown. All right, so we got the wild card round. I'm going Eagles over Packers in the NFC. This one I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with the Commanders over the Bucks. This is probably the one I was the most torn on out of all the wild card matchups. So I'm going Commanders over Bucks. I would not be surprised either way. And then I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Rams again. Even though the Rams are a good team, I'm going to go with the Vikings. Lions over Commanders. I think if Jane Daniels can get one playoff win in his rookie year, that's a good accomplishment. Even making it to the playoffs in his rookie season with the roster that he inherited, that's still impressive. But I'm going to go with the Lions over the Commanders. And then Philadelphia Eagles in Philly against the Minnesota Vikings. Look, I do not want to play the Eagles as a Vikings fan, but like I said, this is my biased bracket, so I'm going Vikings on the road against the Eagles, and then Vikings on the road against the Lions. So that's tough. And then we got the Bills and the Vikings, two snake-bitten franchises who have been to the Super Bowl quite a bit and not won a darn thing. I'm going with my Vikings. Vikings, Bills. These are two very, I think, likable teams. I think people might be turning on Josh Allen a little bit just because the media is hyping up his MVP candidacy so much that people are like, well, hey, what about this guy? What about Burrow? What about Lamar? But these are two teams that I would love to see win the Super Bowl just because they haven't ever. And obviously I'm a Vikings fan, but this is my final bracket here. We got the Vikings winning the Super Bowl, taking down the Rams, Eagles, and Lions all on the road. That is quite the gauntlet. If my Vikings can pull this off, extend KOC a lifetime contract. But that's going to do it, everyone. Thank you for enjoying the podcast. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to like if you can, like wherever you're listening or watching. Make sure to follow or subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Good luck if you got any playoff brackets or anything like that going on, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.